Well, hello everyone on YouTube. This is the Deputy. I have run out of commercials, at least those that interest my subscribers and the YouTube public at large. So I figured I'd now take a second phase and dip into my collection of old TV guides. And instead of just sending these to a website and putting up the pictures or maybe even finding the commercial for it, I thought I'd put some scans together, show you what was going on in the magazine at the time and television at large. I know there's a lot of old commercial accounts out there, but I was always trying to give some context as well to either what the product was or what was going on TV at the time. And this will give another version of that, I suppose. The earliest TV guide that I have is from 1971, going through just before the start of football season, start of the TV season, and, well, the start of the fall for that matter, starting with August 28th. And there's the cast of Monday Night Football. As you see, Howard and Frank and Dandy Don. I don't think the fringe jacket was the ABC blazer, at least the kind that Howard and Frank are having. This is the second season of Monday Night Football on ABC, the first with Frank Gifford, as Keith Jackson has been reassigned to college football. If anybody's heard the behind-the-scenes story or different accounts of this, you know what happened. But Roone Arledge, president of ABC Sports, was a big Frank Gifford guy, and, well, that's how that worked out. The trio was on the cover, yet the story in TV Guide, at least tied in with the cover, was of Howard Cosell. And the title there, The Voice You Love to Hate. I know it's kind of hard to read this, and that's not necessarily the point. I just wanted to show you what it looked like in the story, and you see a nice collection of pennants behind Mr. Cosell. But what can he say? He's a star, and he does his thing, and it goes into not only just his time on Monday Night Football, but all the other things that he does on ABC. He gets a lot of positive comments, at least from Roone Arledge, head of ABC Sports at the time. And the way I guess I could sum this up the most was a paragraph in here on the second page where it said, as it went into that first season, Meredith got an Emmy for his work, Cosell got a mountain of irate mail. That's about the way to sum up the article until you get into Howard's own quotes and aspects. As you know, at the time, TV Guide would cover multiple stories. The one at the front of the magazine was, Where Do New Series Come From? With the cartoon surprise saying, well, now they come from full-blown made-for-television movies. That obviously wouldn't happen with sitcoms, but it would happen with dramas, and a lot of independent producers, and let's face it, that was the majority of television production at the time, not tied in with the network, but independent producers, was saying, I need a way to recoup my costs of this pilot. What can I do about this? Because if I shoot an hour drama and it doesn't get picked up, it just sits on the shelf unless for some reason a big star later becomes big and does something and a network wants to rerun it, or I can syndicate it. Well, if you make it a movie of the week, you're almost guaranteed a run somewhere and at least a sell to independent stations at the time who would run movies as well. It sounds like a no-brainer, especially somebody who grew up when I did, the era of when I've been putting up commercials. This is the trend you saw. But in 1971, at least the start of this season, this seemed to be the new thing. And going forward, this was a big thing, which then meant the independent producers are putting up more and more money for these movie of the week pilots, what almost assured an airing and quite possibly could have assured a pickup. Not always. Of course, the famous example of that is Madam Sin, and you can look that up if you'd like on IMDb, but when you're putting a lot of money into it and then it still didn't get picked up, you know something is terribly wrong. This is a one-page story, or 2 pages I guess, but kind of one fold-out, and it details CBS News' Walter Cronkite doing You Are There, which was an Edward Murrow series. It was brought back for this special. You Are There. There's Cronkite on the scene, and it's supposedly this is going to be on Saturday afternoons. This is Paul Revere's Ride. Nice color photography for 1971. So now that that's a focus on the major stories, I also want to get into some of the close-ups, other programming from that week, and of course some of the ads, which are just gold. And coincidence of coincidences, Bill Cosby is dealing with drugs, but not in the way that lately he's been discussed. This is about how to warn children about the dangers of drugs. This is NBC Children's Theater. This is, again, still before the ABC after-school special. This is a primetime special, 9 o'clock, 8 Central. I'm kind of out of things to say about this, but it's Bill Cosby in an informal classroom setting, talking drugs. Snow, horse, bennies, mainline speed, you know the terms. 3 networks at the time, and most markets had an independent station or 2 in Los Angeles. You have a lot, KHJ, Channel 9, always showing the $1 Million movies every night at 7:30. That gives them a jump on primetime to get into news, and then the off-net syndicated product they'd show after that. In some occasions, another movie then right after that. But you see, they got the whole lineup covering all nights of the week and the Sunday $1 Million movie matinee. They were not alone. KTLA as well, showing widescreen theater, always a staple of independent stations to have a theme of movies for the week. Crimson Claw Productions bringing you all these great horror classics. Perfect for the kids right as school's about to start, gotta blow off some steam. Well, it wasn't quite the beginning of the fall season, but it was getting close, which meant fall preview specials. Though if you think dragging this at 10:30 at night on CBS doesn't seem like a prime spot for people to check out your new programs, but that's what CBS did. ABC at least hadn't scheduled their primetime preview, but they had the Saturday morning preview with Shirley Jones, Mrs. Partridge herself. The ABC Saturday morning special at 7:30 right before primetime. Sports obviously a big deal in the summertime, but the one thing I noticed as I was looking through this was whether it was TV guides or the people doing the ad copy, the local stations' preponderance to not even go with the picture when they were going for sports. It was purely a silhouette, a drawing, that kind of thing. You saw a lot of that on the covers of TV Guide at the time as well, but this was particularly evident inside the magazine, both Channel 11 and Channel 2. With sports, KTTV with a very odd attempt at the Major League Baseball logo almost, and very groovy looking LA Rams cut out there. The same goes for this close-up on CBS of the CBS Tournament of Tennis Champions, recorded at Hilton Head Island. Notice this is around the time of the U.S. Open, so I don't know, it says that it was taped the 27th and the 28th. I don't know if these guys were actually in the tournament or not, but again, another cartoon, even though you have some pretty big names there. Now let's turn into the ads, and lest you think this is just a swinging sexy lady ad, this is actually Jack LaLanne's Health Spa. Any member loses a total of 20 pounds in less than 60 days will get a refund of $20. So what are you waiting for? He's saying in all the different towns you can see, from Fullerton to Long Beach, Glendale, Garden Grove. Just unbelievable amount of hair on this woman at the top of her head. You may remember John Barber from Real People, but he's had quite a long career. And this is John Barber's People, a 3:30 effort from Channel 2. Now, John Barber did a show for Metro Media, and I don't know if this is the one that he has discussed or if this was a local program or not. If anybody knows, please let me know. Also advertising for the local stations for KBC, which became an ABC format throughout local stations around the country, is Eyewitness News, 4:36 and 11. At the time, this would be a little bit later on, they would have a 3:30 movie on ABC affiliates, which were reruns of the primetime ABC movie of the week, which were, at that time, 90 minutes. But what surprised me is the big push for 6, be 6 o'clock, yet it's Channel 7. I know there's not a Channel 6 here in Los Angeles, but a little bit of a confusing there, but they're trying to get you to switch to them. Now let's talk about confusion in local stations. To me, this is it. We bet you already know what quiz show Tom Kennedy hosts 3 o'clock on Channel 4. No, I don't. Does anybody? Because I didn't. I'm a game show fan. I didn't know it at all. I had to look it up. It's called It's Your Bet. Does anybody remember this one? Well, it was not an NBC game show. It was a syndicated game show Tom Kennedy was hosting. Though it was a syndicated game show, it was mostly on NBC O&Os, which certainly was KNBC and still is. The interesting thing is, Tom Kennedy only hosted it for this season, 71-72, and the following season, which would have been its last, was hosted by Lyle Wagner. Well, that's just a look inside this TV Guide edition, late August, early September 1971. If this is something of interest, I'll be continuing this further. I've got a lot more of these, believe me, and it's a real trip, not only looking through what was going on TV at the time, but what kind of things passed for advertisements at that time too. This is Deputy. Thank you guys so much. A very happy New Year to you.